Testing. Ooh, that's still a little too quiet. Let's do... It's a morning stream, so I think I can afford to bring it up a little bit more. There we go. That's better. Okay, 알하. 좋은 아침. 안녕하세요. Unfortunately, most of the stream is going to be in English today, I think, so... 잘 부탁드립니다. Let's just switch over to this first. Right, my one kome has been acting up a little bit, so let me just try this again. Hope you've been well. Are you gonna work now? Yes, you work now. Okay, cool. So that happens when you use programs that are outside of OBS as a browser source. But yeah, think of today as a radio show, I think is the best way to put it. It's just gonna be a lot of me talking about my experience with AnimeFiesta Summer Con, which happened 2 weeks ago now. I had 2 performances, the Saturday and the Sunday, so both days. I guess we can start there. That was not the plan. The original plan was so that I would perform one of the days, not both days. But on my forum I had said, because fun fact, when you are a local idol and you're wanting to perform, when you start out, you have to apply. You have to send out applications to places. So one of the applications I sent out to was AnimeFiesta. This would have been my second time performing with them. I'll be really honest, I was hesitant. Not because of the organizers, but because of the event. So its demographic is not my usual demographic. I'm usually performing with a primarily English-speaking community. So I wasn't sure how well I'd be received there. But the organizers have been very kind. So I wanted to I wanted to give them another chance, because the last time I performed with them in January, it was all the way out in Scarborough, which is very far from me and was very hard to get to. It was also during the winter, and the snow when you have a wheelchair is weird. Hi, sorry, lurking but excited to hear about it. Love good news show. Thank you. I'm glad. This is your morning talk show. Or I guess if you're a boko, then it's an evening, late night talk show. Basically, so this was, I'm old. Let me just preface with that. I'm old. The last time I was really active in the performance scene was 1, back in Vancouver, and 2, when I was like, how old was I? I think between the ages of 19 and I want to say 23, 24 was when I was the most active as an idol. It might have been earlier. So I entered my first idol singing competition in 2009. And then from 2009, between 2009 and 2010 was me like slowly understanding how all this worked. Started winning competitions in 2011, and then it wasn't until 2013, I think, when I started being a lot more active as an idol. So it's been a while. It's been at least 13 years, and a lot's changed since then. One of the things that's changed is that we have access to, like some shows will have access to projectors now. I never had to deal with visuals when I was starting out. Never had to do it. I think the closest I got was when I was like a guest performer for Jeremy Andrasov's show back in Anime Revolution. I don't know what year that was. It might have been 2013. It might have been IFF Toronto 2019 actually, because I think no, it was before then. It was definitely before then. I think this is what happens when you get older. You forget things. It was one of the AnimeFiesta IFF events. And he asked if I wanted to put up a slide that had my like socials and information and everything. So I was like, okay. I made one really haphazard. I didn't know anything about graphic design back then. I was so bad. I don't think I'm that good at graphic design now, but back then I was way worse. I had no sensibility with like UI and eye-catching or like color palettes or branding or anything like that. So I didn't know anything. It was like the hardest thing to read on screen, but that was the last time I put something on screen. AnimeFiesta in the winter was the very, very, very first time I had to actually plan something for a projector. And so, you know, like I've been doing music videos for so long now that I'm just like, okay, fuck it, we ball. I'm just gonna put in stuff. Yeah. The thing is, like, it takes a lot of work, and I assumed I would just be able to like work with AV, because this is also me showing my age. Back in the day, not so much anymore, but back in the day, idols had really close relations with AV staff, especially if they were recurring guests or recurring performers. We got to know the AV staff really well. I still know the AV staff at Anime North very well, but AN is a legacy convention, so most conventions actually don't run like them anymore. Shout out Taz, he's great. So I not being able to communicate with AV is also something very new for me. So what idols have to do now, and I'm learning to do, is we have to time our MC breaks in advance, build them into our program, and put everything in a single file. And then we send that file off to AV like 2 to 3 weeks in advance. And then you cross your fingers and hope for the best. So now I'm having to... It's a good thing for me personally, because I tend to ramble. I now have to practice being better at MCing. Not just for other performers, but for myself now, because I don't MC for DCS anymore, and so it was a strange experience for me, because I had to. It forced me to care about myself more, I think is what I'm trying to say. So, anyway, back in January, when I didn't know any of this, I separated each song by its own file. I think I had 3 songs total. One of the songs accidentally got thrown into somebody else's performance setup. I felt bad for the group that came in after me, because they're DCS alumni. But also, for me personally, I'm just like, wow, this is really awkward. They can't find my first song. Organizers were freaking out because AV at the time, and I think, yeah, AV at the time was part of the venue. It wasn't part of the organizers. And when I tell you that these guys did not care... And like I finally got to meet the showrunner for the performances at AnimeFiesta as well. She's so sweet. She's so sweet. I could see just how like people could just like she was so sweet that I feel like no matter what she tried to do, I don't think it would have made much of a difference, because the impression I was getting from the AV folks from the January venue, which I don't think they even work with anymore, was they just wanted to do whatever they want, and they weren't going to listen to anybody unless they were equally as harsh as them. So I think what happened during that show, when they couldn't find my song, and they're flipping through it and just like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, Natty, who, if you're from the second Toronto community, would be familiar with her. She ran up, so she was actually familiar with the program they were using. Oh, thank you for the heart reacts. She went up and was looking through the song. This is just like, what's going on? And then at some point she was like, it's not here. I was like, cool. And at some point, Mio, who is the MC, who's also a TCS alum, she was also upset. So she also barked up. She's like, what's going on? Like, we're looking for this number. And then Mio noticed that on the spreadsheet where the set list was laid out, my number was the exact same as the following acts. So when people were being moved around, I guess, because there was a lot of back and forth near the end for that event, the numbers weren't 100% changed. Although, like, from AV's perspective, they couldn't, I don't know, use logic. It's not... I don't think you can have you can't have two 18s in a row, just saying. Like, y'all could have just, I don't know, actually tried. Anyway, sorry. But anyway, that happened. They later found out the first song that I was supposed to sing, which was Theater. I wanted to sing Theater, and then we were going to go into Filament Fever, and then go into Neo. Theater got lost in the other file. So they found out later that that's what happened. But in the moment, you know, the show must go on. So I ended up doing Theater a cappella. That was the first time I think the organizers had also heard me sing as well, because the footage I had sent at the time was a little outdated. So I was really surprised that they accepted me in the first place. And then the second time around, they're like, we'll see you next time. I was like, yeah. But also, when it happened, like, the organizers were profusely apologizing. They felt so bad. They didn't know what was going on. And I'm just like, listen, I've been a showrunner myself for years. I get it. If AV's being a little shit to you, like, it's not gonna work no matter what you do. So thankfully, I don't think they work with them anymore. During Summer Con, so now we're back to more recent times. In Summer Con, it was at the Black Creek Village instead. Or the village at Black Creek is the official name for it, because it used to be called something else. It used to be called Pioneer Village, but that's very colonialist, and they didn't want to do that anymore. So it was like, no, it's going to say the village at Black Creek. The TTC station hasn't changed its name, though. But, like, it was held there, which it is quite far out, but it was a lot more accessible than the last venue, for sure, 100%. They also didn't have a sound team this time. It was the... It was the MCs and the stage and like AnimeFiesta's own stage staff. So Saturday, I think they were a lot more experienced than Sunday. Saturday, I saw some familiar faces. I still feel really bad about the Saturday performance, because my PTSD leading up to the show and on Saturday especially was just through the roof. Something that I found out recently that I've yet to get a proper diagnosis for. I might be somewhere in, like, I might have a dissociative disorder. Not like dissociative identity disorder, but more like there are times when the best way I can try to describe it is like your brain has certain modes. Or at least my brain. Sorry, let me put it into context. My brain has certain modes. And those modes each have a different role to play, and they each have their own specific idea of what counts as safety or what counts as effective. And these parts can be integrated. It's usually aligned, and I'm not surprised that if I would have this, because I already have complex PTSD and I've known that for years. But what I found happening during the lead up to a lot of my performances happened leading up to CSC as well. But CSC at least had some, like, singing the song Spinning World, a Spinning Globe helped. Not Spinning World, that's a different song. I would like to sing that one day. Spinning Globe helped because it forced my body to cry. And then after I cried, it was okay. I didn't have that freedom with AnimeFiesta. Because I got a little cocky and I thought that I was gonna be okay. I was not okay. I forgot half of my lyrics. The only lyrics I did remember were Sarishi no Hara, because I learned that song when I was very young, like when the song first came out. Y'all don't know how old that song is. It's old. I think it's over 10 years old now. So that's what made me realize, like, oh, okay. There is a part of me related to performing that still wants to do things the old way, which is natural. Like, of course, the human brain doesn't know how to adapt that quickly. I decided, well, I don't know if I can say I decided. It's more like I got so desperate. I was so embarrassed after that show because it was really clear the audience was not. You're taught, okay, in previous generations, for my generation, you're taught that, like, even if you forget the lyrics, you keep going. Except, even when I forgot the lyrics and was trying to keep going, there was constant resistance. Like, I couldn't even get my voice. It was a miracle I could even get my voice out. So I was laughing through the half of my songs, through songs that I don't think I should have been laughing through. Like, one of the songs was Haru by Yorishika. I still want to do a proper cover of that song now to make up for it. And Hope is the Thing with Feathers was okay. Like, I remembered most of the lyrics, but again, like, I knew it was a trauma-related thing and maybe a dissociative thing, because I literally moments before going up on stage, I had remembered all of my lyrics. I had memorized all of my lyrics, and like that, it was all gone, and it felt like there was a block in my chest, and something was trying to keep my voice down. So I got mad at myself. But not like how I used to get mad at myself. I used to be like, oh, you're washed up, it's pointless, like, you lost your chance, like, just give up. I used to be stuff like that. I used to talk like that to myself a lot, which is why I was on that 4-year hiatus after a particularly bad performance, is all I was saying. There was nothing wrong with the event itself. It's just the audience wasn't great, and there was this one bitch in the front row was just like kept like glaring at me, and then later I found out she was also an idol. Well, I don't need to call out anyone like that. But basically, after that experience, I think there was still remnants of wanting the good old days, or wanting like my heydays again. So between I went home early. I did not stick around for very long because, oh, that was the other thing too. Yeah, because I was trying to finish up Bright Pen Lights. I was trying to finish up Bright Pen Lights before the deadline. So I lost a lot of sleep over that, because I was so stressed out about meeting that deadline and realizing, like, oh, I'm not going to be able to finish the track the way that I want to finish it in time. But hey, fuck it, we ball, we're going to upload it anyway. So I was also running on maybe, like, over the span of 72 hours, I think I only had 8 hours of sleep between the 72 hours. So there was that as well. I was not okay. Like, I think that's the best I could. Saturday, I was not okay. But the reason why I wasn't okay was the exact same reason why I had kept procrastinating with Bright Pen Lights, and the same reason why I was forgetting half my lyrics on stage. And so I knew I had to face them. When I tell you, I went like hardcore coach on myself. I think that might have been the most disciplined the most I was trying to force discipline on myself. And I know that sounds weird, and some people are like, oh, that's really toxic. No, hear me out. In this situation, it worked, because what that part of myself needed was proof. But the irony was, they weren't going to get that proof unless I could follow through. I'm just like, yeah, of course you're proving yourself right, because you're not doing anything. So I said, you need to lock the fuck in. We're laying out a plan now, on the bus, on the way home. I don't fucking care. You're locking the fuck in, because you're already signed on. You can't run now. And also, you literally got mad at someone a couple of years ago for running from this exact same situation. Do not be the same. Don't be a hypocrite. Do it now. So one, I slept. I ate well. I remember it was still, I mean, yeah, like, the sun sets a lot later, obviously, but, like, it was still pretty early in the day when I got back downtown. Because I live downtown. And the first thing I did was sleep. Because I knew I can't do anything unless I sleep first. Ooh, I slept so well. I slept so well. And then as soon as I got back up, I think the sun was still out. Oh no, sun was just about to set when I woke up. And I was like, okay, now you need to lock in. I also had ended up posting something on my Instagram story explaining, like, I'm not happy with that relationship. I'm not happy with that performance. I know I can do better. Thank you for still having supported me even though I was not great. I'm gonna come back tomorrow even better. I was some version of that. You can go on my Instagram stories to read it. But with that, the following 12 hours or so, because the performance slots were earlier and I wanted to get there in time to see Acacia perform. But that evening, what I did another run through. But then what I also did, I downloaded the performance file. We didn't have a projector screen this time, it was just audio, so I can just download the audio. I downloaded it onto my phone. And after, like, doing all of the self-care, self-maintenance stuff at home, I left relatively on time. I say relatively because certain things still took a longer time than I anticipated, but I figured it was better to do it at home than at the venue. Especially because it was really, really hot that weekend. And I didn't want things to melt off. The first thing I did, I put my in-ears, and I plugged it into my phone. And between my house and to the venue, or at the very least to the station, all I was doing was looping the instrumental track and going through the song in my head. And you know what the crazy thing is? It went a lot smoother. The memory came out smooth. Yes, I still forgot some things, like a couple of things here and there during the actual performance. But I thought, like, I literally brought my tripod and everything. I thought I was gonna have to read my own lyrics off my own phone. I genuinely thought I was ready to do it, especially Burning Legacy, because that one was the one that I was meeting the most resistance for. If you don't know the song Burning Legacy, because you haven't heard it, and I have yet to upload the self-cover, I'm probably going to do it sometime this month or next month. Burning Legacy is a song, it was a fan song originally written from the perspective of Firefly from Star Rail. But I was also pulling from my own experiences as somebody who's very recently disabled for that song. So that also gave me more insight into, like, okay, one of the things you miss is being able to not just run around the entire stage, but also what I used to do is I used to jump into the audience. I used to, like, jump into the audience, used to get, like, an earful from AV after. It's just like, you were great, but never do that again without telling us first, because we need to be able to turn your mic off. And I was like, I'm sorry. But that was one of the things I was known for back when I was a Kaigai idol. I used to be known for, like, literally jumping to the audience and running through the aisles while I'm singing, and then running back up to the stage and then continuing to sing there, even though I was out of breath half the time. I obviously can't do that anymore. I can't even move around on stage freely anymore, because most, like, good luck putting a cheap headset on someone like me. Like, it would have to be a higher end headset, and I would have to still be able to adjust it with my hand, which I cannot do because I have to go hands free now. So bless, it was Cornelius, who's also an idol but was the MC for Sunday. He and I performed at CSC, so we got to be familiar with each other's performance styles. He was also slayed, so good. but he was very proactive. He's just like, I'm gonna give you a mic stand. Like, I'm gonna set up the mic stand. Like, how far do you want it? Couldn't use my in-ear still because they didn't know where to put it. I didn't know where to put it. I'm just like, this is a really old cabinet. I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to risk it. I'll fucking we ball. I'm just gonna try my best to hear. So I asked them, can you just make the instrumental louder than what you usually would? And so they did. Again, had the tripod set up, never had to. I think I only used it once during Burning Legacy, and that was for like remembering how the next verse started, because that's something, even though it's so weird saying this as the person who wrote the song, but like I always get mixed up with the first and second verses for Burning Legacy, even though it's my own song. But yeah, so I think the only time I checked was to see, like, is it the part? Okay, it's that part. Because once I remember what the first line is, I remember what the rest of the verse was. I thought I was gonna need it for the voiceover part, because that was the part I was very worried about. Turns out I didn't. I was totally fine. I wish I could have acted it better, but at that point, I was just trying to get everything out of my... I was just trying to get the performance out. It didn't need to be perfect. I just needed to prove that, like, hey, you can still do it, and you can still cheer up a crowd. Also, shout out to the Sekai Toronto fans. I think Natty said it the best. She's like, there are no bigger astronauts than the Sekai Toronto community. Which, the more I thought about it afterwards, I think she was right. Natty and Orbit also did help me out with some stuff at the meet and greet table afterwards. The meet and greet table, by the way, for me ended up just becoming a Sekai Toronto gathering, because everyone was just like chilling together there, and they're just like, oh yeah, you're cool, like I feel safe hanging around you, kind of thing. So that was fun. Gave away some stuff, caught up with members of Acacia, and it was nice to see Kai thriving, doing the kind of music that he likes. You know, like, because I've been a fan since Oishi Oreos, but Oishi Oreos had a very different vibe, because, you know, like, it was a band, it was a full-piece band, but it had very idol vibes, so obviously because of Suna and Chu. Suna and Chu now do their own thing. Great for them. I'm with them a lot more recently too, and I love it. It's so good. I can finally see them perform more often. But it was my first time being able to see Acacia perform live, because every time they were performing at Anime North, I had to do DCS stuff, so I missed opportunities to watch them. So between like Acacia's very, 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 very first performance to now, they improved a lot. Like they're working their butts off. And I was there for a bit of their post-show talk as well, and it was so cool to see, and they're all so cool, and both of their members are just like, hi, you're my goat, and I'm just like, what? Me? Thank you. Also, you guys are my goat too, so yeah, we're gonna collab soon, right? And they're like, we're interested, definitely, we'll get back to you when like stuff calms down for us. And I was like, yes, okay, so I look forward to that. Because I had gone on their Instagram when they first started posting their rehearsal reels, and I'm just like, so when can I write a song for you guys? And they were literally just like, wait, who are you? And then Kai would be like, no, I know him, kind of a thing. So you know, we're all good. And then they finally got to see me perform as well, and so we are now on each other's radars. It's super cool. I love it. This is why. Okay, so before I continue with the deeper talks, little, I guess, lesser known facts when you're starting out as either an idol or a musical talent locally. Performances will almost always be loss leaders, which means you're always going to spend more than you earn. And I still think it's worth it. There are some folks who are just like, oh, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of money. It doesn't need to be. There are because those folks are gonna like have a new costume every show or something like that. And I was like, no, I have one. I'm slowly investing in one, except for JFCA, which I'm asking Pretty Night Lori to style me again. So I'm gonna be borrowing stuff from their wardrobe for that one. However, in general, I keep my outfits simple until I have the means to afford the full piece, because I'd rather prioritize getting my ass there and back safely, and also making sure I stay fed, because that was also a bad habit from my old idol days. I used to starve myself during conventions. I've already been open about my anorexia before, but it's just for context of like, this is how far it went. So from that perspective, there's just a lot that I'm learning to do again, and I learned from the Sunday performance at AnimeFiesta 2 weeks ago that the way I could integrate with this part of me again was to change. It was weird. I wasn't expecting it, but it turns out a lot of it had to do with external validation, or what other people thought of me. Except this part of me was still clinging to what my family would think of me. Well, my parents, especially what my mom would think of me. And I won't get too deep into it, but basically she's never really been supportive of the performance side of things, or the music side of things for that matter. But when I was younger, I kept trying to basically prove her wrong. Be like, no, I can show you I'm good at music. I can show you I'm good at performance. I can show you this is worth my time. When I was waiting for the bus to arrive, because I did end up leaving a little bit early still, just because it was too hot, and I could tell for as long as I'm at that venue, I wasn't going to be eating anything, and so I had to prioritize my health. I did spend some time with the Second Toronto peeps, so that was good. But while I was waiting for the bus to arrive to get me to Pioneer Village, the station, when that fact came up for myself, I said to that part of me, I said, I can't change the fact that you still need to seek out external validation, because that's something that's baked into you when you're a kid. People say it's like, oh, don't care about other people. Sometimes you can't change that. Sometimes the best thing you can do is A, accept it, which is what I did, and another thing I did, B, change who you're seeking that validation from. I think the worst thing you can do for yourself is to either overgeneralize it or place it on one or two people. You're either going too wide or too narrow. You need something in between. So what I decided for myself was I would seek validation from those who are already supporting me presently. And so then it made me think, well, what do astronauts expect from me? And I realized, like, well, I think the most they expect from me is integrity, following through with what I say, and that I keep being brave first. Like, I can't tell someone to have a brave day if I'm not brave myself, right? So that already changed the expectations. I'd argue the expectations are higher than they were before, but they're more feasible for me than the previous ones. Because previous is just like, oh, make mom impressed. Okay? She's never impressed. Like, that's what you have. That's what happens when you're a perfectionist. You'll never be impressed. And my mother's a perfectionist. And so, yeah, I've also been unlearning my own perfectionist tendencies as well. As people who have worked with me in the past will know, I am either a total perfectionist or so scared of being a perfectionist that I won't do anything. And so I've been trying to teach myself to be in the middle ground as like a proper leader this time. And that's been a huge chunk of the journey too. So yeah, that was a little side tangent. No, ended up flowing pretty smoothly back in. Right, I mentioned that performances are a loss leader. I still think it's worth it because of the experience and the people that you connect with. Excuse me. Hold on, let me drink first. I re-recorded Bright Pen Lights last night, and I think I messed up my vocals a bit. But anyway, how do I word this? Also sorry for the fan noises in the background. I have both my dehumidifying AC and my fan and my air purifier on because it's still hot. At least by my standards, it's still too hot. The most rewarding parts of performances for me are when I reconnect with people that I met through past performances. Kai from Acacia is a little bit of a unique circumstance because he somehow found me on Twitter first, and we got to know each other through that. And then later I found out, I was like, oh, you're with Oishi Ori. I was like, yeah, that's my band. And then I started meeting up with him more in person that way. And I would just go to like as many of their shows as I could. Obviously, as I lost my mobility, the number of shows I could go and support became less. Because, fun fact, most venues are not wheelchair friendly. So there was that. Technically, the Village at Black Creek stage is not accessible either. However, I am fortunate enough to still be able to walk a little bit, as long as I have like a cane or something to support myself with. So staff would help carry the wheelchair up and down for me, and there were quite a few steps. More than usual. Like, I'm used to maybe half of the amount of stairs, but it was, I think, it was a little bit taller than CSC's stage as well, and CSC also had quite steep steps. I was climbing that one. I felt cool. I felt like Tarzan. I mentioned Chu and Suna earlier as well. I think one of the most memorable experience for me from CSC was when I was talking with Chu right after my performance, and he asked me, it's like, can you tell me what you're feeling? Like, what kind of feelings are you experiencing that's like bringing out these emotions for you? And I'm tearing up just thinking about it now, but like, most people don't ask me where my performances come from. But he's just like, no, I want to know, like, what are you feeling? And I because from the viewer's perspective, like, it was a totally different performance than the other song. Like, it was something special. And so it's I don't want to cry first thing in the morning, but when you're doing just like YouTube and virtual performances, because fun fact, most virtual performances are pre-recorded. It's just the only way they'll be able to run, otherwise it's a hot mess. You don't get that kind of human interaction through a chat box or through Discord, unless you're working on a chorus project or something together. But if you're a solo performer, it's actually quite lonely to do a lot of virtual performances like that. And at some point, it becomes emotional. When you're doing music like me, where it's not very pop, it's very singer-songwriter, it's very, you pour your whole heart into it, to that one performance, not even the event as a whole or anything like that, that one performance, it gets emotionally exhausting. It gets spiritually exhausting when no one is there to, like I said, I still require external validation. But it made me realize, like, oh, the type of validation I need, one, needs to be genuine, and two, needs to align with the type of work that I do. So one of the greatest compliments you could give me after a show is say that it meant a lot to you. is that the performance was cathartic to you, or that it also resonated with you in some way. To me, that's the biggest compliment I can get as a musician. Same with my original songs. If you tell me the song means something and is helping you be brave as well, especially, then that's all I need. That's all I need. Is it commercially viable to be functioning like this? Probably not, but I don't care. I'll figure it out. I've got ways to try and, I don't know, for now it's mostly merch. Which is why I think it's also the reason why like I'm behind on my chapter 3 debut merch as well, or my goods, because I want the pieces to reflect the amount of effort I had put into the debut and every other song that I do. And this is a little bit of a issue for me. It's a good issue, but it's still an issue where this is likely gonna keep happening every time I do a merch drop. So I have to be like, oh, I want to do this really cool thing that's like tell us a story, the thing that I want to do with the event or the album. But if I do that, then I don't know if I can do it by myself in a timely manner. So I'll cross that bridge when I get there. I need to figure out my performance for JFCA first, but then literally right after that I have to prepare for my anniversary showcase, which is debut part 2. So I'm hoping that the merch drop at least comes out before then. Welcome back, Flo. It's been a while. This is nothing cheap. You just gotta lock in. Debut 2, yeah. Debut 2. I will lock in, but also just... It's different when you're fighting your body, right? I'm still in recovery, first of all, so that means if I don't be careful when and what I eat, or how much of it I eat, then I'm in a lot of trouble. As in, like, I will stop functioning. And there's also the fact that I still live with chronic pain. I've changed my whoa, way too close. I've changed my desk setup. I say desk setup. I've changed my desk setup in a way that I now sit on my bed, because the number of times I would have to oscillate between lying down and sitting up, it got to be too much. Also, the AC used to be like right up against my ass, and I'm just like, that's too cold. I can't function like that. That also messed up my pain. So yeah. Can I enjoy a succulent chicken parm? No, I cannot, because of the ingredients. I can have some dairy, for instance, but usually not. And also the amount of processing that chicken would need for a good chicken parm, I would not react well to it. So unfortunately, no. What I can have is, like, you know, a lot of soups and whole grain rice and beans and for me, sorry to hear. Yeah. Where was I? Right, debut prep and whatnot. The plan is to wrap up merch designs this weekend, and so that pre-orders can stay open for another week after that. And then after that, I'm going to have to close it. Did I do Bright Fairlights? No, unfortunately, because I could not so, behind the scenes, you have to submit the files, I think, 2 weeks in advance, which means I would have had to finish by Penlights 2 weeks sooner, which I could not do. I tried, I really did, but it didn't work out. The merch, it's technically already dropped. It's just that a lot of the designs are either MIA or incomplete because I didn't get a chance to work through them. Because I was too busy building the actual show and building my own debut. I was busy doing like all the stuff you see now. I couldn't even have a chance to rig my model. Like my model's still not rigged yet. So this is what I was saying earlier. Like there's only so much I can do on my own now. Back in the day, when I was like a Kai Guy idol, oh, totally different story. I could do everything. I could do all of this, and I would have been perfectly fine. Would it have been a healthy thing to do? Probably not, but I could do it. And so one of the things that I had to grieve over was the fact that I can't do it anymore. And so... Okay, I'm gonna try to like this. There were a lot of things that I wanted to do for my debut originally that I could not do in time. And the things that I did manage to get done were overwhelming. Like, that already was overwhelming. I still got it done, but I was struggling a lot. And I paid the price for it with my health. I ended up going, I think you guys noticed, I needed to slow myself down significantly. And the streams were also not 100% great either, because of the lack of energy. And so that's why, like, right after AnimeFiesta, I was just like, I'm gonna take like a 1 week break. I'm not gonna stream. What I was mostly doing was recovering, because it took a lot. I love performing, but it still takes a lot out of me, especially now with the fibro. So there were things that I wanted to do for the anniversary that I am going to have to consider paring down, because otherwise I would have to hire people to help, and I just don't have that money right now. I can only do what I can feasibly do on my own. So one of the priorities is rigging my model, and then but I have to then rig it in a way that isn't going to overload my very small computer. Because it turns out, the more vertices you have on a live 2D model, the more your computer has to process per second. And that's not very kind on the GPU, let's say. So I'm going to be rigging in paper model stuff, because this is a paper doll model, according to my artist, Spider-She. So I'm going to model it in a way where it acts like a paper doll, which will be a lot faster to do and also a lot easier on my computer to do. I would like to eventually get a performance model done, and that was the original plan. Like, not a non-chibi model, like a full-scale model. But I don't know if it's going to be done in time. It might end up being a 7th anniversary kind of a thing, not a 6th anniversary thing, because this year would be the 6th anniversary for Astral Mile. So, you know, sometimes you have to make concessions with yourself. And I think that's something that idols really are bad at doing. Idols are really bad at doing, because we always want something to be exactly how we envisioned it. And when you're young, cool, you can do all that, sure. If you have support, you can do all that, sure. If you have money, you can do all that, sure. But it usually comes at a cost. And that cost will catch up to you the older you get. And so what I'm having to do is not compromise, but ask myself, like, do I really need to do this? Is this going to add to the story, or is it just something aesthetic? Is this going to add to what the core vision of the project is, or am I just doing it because I think it would be cool? Which, nothing wrong with that, but if I have to pick and choose what I prioritize, obviously I have to choose the things that align with the core. The cool stuff, maybe one day I can revisit, or I can forward it to another project in the future, but for the short term, it's something I have to consider. And this is something I think a lot of folks with chronic pain, or specifically for me, what people don't realize is fibromyalgia is actually in nature a autoimmune disorder. It's just that the modern, not modern. No, if you actually do further research into like more recent fibromyalgia studies, like you'll realize, oh no, this isn't a musculoskeletal disorder. This is a autoimmune disorder because your cells are basically attacking itself. You're over-inflaming. The inflammation never turns off. Perks of that is that I never get sick because all of the viruses get killed off. But the downside is, in a different way, I'm always sick because my body's constantly attacking itself. It's constantly burning up. My roommates will during the winter, they'll put the heating at like 25 degrees Celsius. That's too hot for me. I need like the highest I'm willing to go is 20 degrees Celsius. Anything hotter than that, I have to start putting the AC on. Because past that point, I'm already burning. My internal temperature is already very high. But now it's going to be even hotter, and that's when I start getting sick. That's when I start getting dehydrated a lot faster. Obviously, this happens when I perform too. So, going back to AnimeFiesta Summer, 2 weeks ago, we had a really bad heat wave just starting, and I think we're just coming off the heat wave now, but at the time, that was the beginning of it. There were no clouds, so no shade, and the village at Black Creek is quite far out, and there's not a whole lot of trees left in that area. It's like, it's one of those really, really big open spaces where it's just mostly parking lots and a highway. And somewhere in the middle there, they kept a historical village, basically. And the village itself has some shade, but the area itself as a whole lacks it, and so the general temperature of the area was a lot hotter than most other places in the GTA at the time. And so we also had to perform in that. It was an outdoor stage. There was shade. It was a pavilion, but it was still very warm. So I stayed hydrated, but I still had to cope with the fact after my performance that the act of performing and belting and singing also raises my body temperature. And so that's also something I have to take into consideration now. I used to have these dreams where I used to have a dream where I would have like 1 hour solo shows on my own. I don't really think I can do that anymore, which is why the concept of the ASTRAL MILE Music Festival became a thing. It's because I'm just like, I want to do these performances, but I can't do it alone. Oh, I know. I'll just ask my friends who also sing to sing with me. And a lot of them are also idols. So, but the thing is, that kind of stuff requires more money and more planning, and so, you know, that's a future me problem. That's probably a 2027 me problem. It's not for now. Now I'm too busy with other things, but that's where it came from. That's where the thought came from. And it's still something I want to do despite the pain and despite the fatigue and the fact that I need, I think, like 2 weeks to recuperate properly from a single weekend. But to me, it's worth it because that's the only way I know how to build. I'm so old-fashioned. That's the only way I know how to build community. I need to see your face. I need to see your face. I need to see who you are. I need to hear how you talk, which is very different from how I used to do things when I was an active idol. Like when I was an active idol, I just wanted to hide behind the screen and chat and like send text messages. I still don't do very well with phone calls to this day, but if I'm meeting you in person and I get to see your micro movements and your micro expressions, and I see how you carry yourself, that tells me a lot more than what message you send me or how you word your stuff. It's easy to make words sound nice. It's a lot harder to hide your intentions in public. especially at least around me it is, because I guess I tend to bring that out in people. So yeah, it's I'm not giving it up, and AnimeFiesta definitely confirmed that for me. So I have a lot to thank for the organizers too. Whether I'll be able to, the other thing is, like, they always say is that we look for any event will be like, we look forward to you next time, kind of a thing. It's like, we'd love it if you applied again next year, kind of a thing. I can't promise it anymore. I'd love to. I always love to, but I always need to see how my condition will be in the months leading up to it. Especially if it's for next year, I definitely can't promise anything. And this is already after having had to decide to step down from DCS. One of the reasons why I mentioned it to a few DCS alum who were there, because I think, they were there on Saturday, and I mentioned that the reason why I stepped down from DCS is because the busiest times as a musician, not just as a performer, but like for like competitions and stuff too, as a producer, it tends to begin in April. But DCS preparation would start in April, and it would like really kick up in May, which is when like the show happens, and then there would be like post-event chats that would happen for another month or two afterwards too. I had to choose one. It's basically what I said before, and what I will still say now, because there are times when I wonder, it's like, oh, should I go back to DCS? And the answer has to be no, because I would like, for instance, the reason why I was rushing Bright Penlight so much is because by the time I had time to work on it, I was already burned out from Anime North. There was just so much going on, and then like the prep for it as an MC, as I don't think I think people have started realizing recently just how much work I would put into the MC notes, which is, yeah, anyway, just one, I'm really thankful that I'm seen like that. But second, I think it just adds to the point of why I can't do it anymore. Trying to MC for 30 acts in a single weekend, that's and like to do it in a way where everyone feels equally seen. that's the hard part, making sure everybody feels equally seen, and yet half of these acts, it would have been my first time meeting them. And so trying to figure out and researching and understanding like what their message is, and why they chose that song, and why they want to perform at DCS and all that stuff, and balancing it out and now putting it in a way that can be concisely said as an MC intro, in a way that would resonate with the audience too. Like that took a lot. Yeah, it was a lot to do. I enjoy it. I still enjoy it. If I have opportunities to MC every once in a while when I am not busy chasing my own dreams, cool, we can do that. But no, AN is literally smack dab in the middle of when the busiest times would be. I would have liked more time to work on Bright Penlights. I would have liked to have started working on it in April. I couldn't. I just couldn't. DCS demanded too much out of me. So, and again, like I say it like that, but I still enjoyed it. Like it was like one thing that kept me on stage. I said this while I teared up last time, I cried last time, but it still stands. I would have given up on performing if it wasn't for DCS. I have a lot to be thankful for that event for. It's just that I had to step away. That's all. Literally, that's all. Also, MC as in Master of Ceremonies, not as a DJ. I can't DJ to save my life. You're an amazing MC for real. Was proud to tell people I knew the MC share all the cool things you do. Thank you, Zari. I appreciate it. Oh yeah, sorry with yeah, sorry, just be like, I'm around. I see it. I can't. I have to do things, but I am around. Yeah, it was always nice. I especially didn't expect Because Sari is originally from a different community where I used to do a collaboration with, and so I didn't expect Sari to become an astronaut. I'm very, very thankful. Very, very thankful every time. This is what I mean, right? I can say that because I got to see Sari in person. Before that, I was just like, oh, like I recognize her name from like so-and-so stream, etc., whatever. But then it's a different story when I meet them in person, right? It's a different, that goes with everyone. If I'm only seeing a name and some text, I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, I have some impressions, but I won't know for sure who you are until I see you in person, kind of a thing. And I have had my opinions of people change when I've met them in person. Both ways. Like I had good impressions that went bad, and I've also had bad impressions that went good. I've had both. Because when you see them in person, it changes the story. So yeah, that was a little side thing. We're at an hour and 4 minutes. Do I have anything else to mention? Otherwise, it's just gonna be a quick stream today. I will mention. Oh no, there are a few things I do need to mention. I forgot. Yes, okay, I remember now. The final, what I'm calling the lunate motif version of Bright Pen Lights, I'm wrapping it up tonight. I don't know how long distribution will take though, so it might not come out until next week. I say tonight, what I actually mean is I'm finishing it off right after stream, because I have somewhere to be tonight. I am wrapping up the final version of Bright Pen Lights today. I did most of it yesterday. If you're a Galactic Trotter, which I think so far Chisaku is the only member so far, but if you're a Galactic Trotter or a Coffee member, you would have had easy access. You have early access to the pre-master in the Discord server. I'll also upload the pre-master to the Coffee page once the full version is out, so that you can compare what the differences are. What I mean by pre-master, it basically means I have not mastered it yet. It's been mixed, but there's still a lot more level balancing and putting it all together that needs to be done before I can say it's a finalized track. So that's coming up. I'm also gonna be releasing proper covers of the songs I performed in the past two performances, because I'd like to do them justice, and I already recorded and mixed all the harmonies and whatnot. I'd like to do something proper with it, that's all. Waiting for the minor mix? Heck yeah, thank you. Because it's the Lunate motif version, the image is also going to be different. So the album art is going to be different. It will be of my face. It will not be of the Trailblazer, for obvious reasons. Because it's not even that the lyrics are different. The lyrics are the same. It's just that I found, unlike Burning Legacy and Don't Look Back, this time around when I was looking at the lyrics, I'm just like, oh, I don't think I really put anything in here that makes it obviously a reference to HSR. So I kept the lyrics as is, but I did re-record the vocals because it was not I only recorded a little too loud for the Multiverse Sisters version, so it clipped quite a bit. So I re-recorded it, which means the performance is very different as well. A couple more instruments. Not a couple more. The horn section has been wrangled with to the best of my ability, the most that I can do with the resources I have, because my MIDI controllers, neither of my MIDI controllers are really good for articulation changes, which is what Sign Player runs on, which is where I do most of the instrumentation, except for strings. Strings, I will usually just like choose whatever patch is available, and then I'll manually adjust the dynamics myself. But sign player like allows you to like switch how the notes are played based on certain like key switches or MIDI CCs, or like if you have a controller that actually listens to you and works properly, you can control it with like dials and sliders. I'm having issues with mine, and so it wasn't going very well. Also, the velocity range is very narrow for my controller, so I can't fit in as many articulations as I like. So horn section sounds better. It sounds better than the Multiverse Vistas version, but it's still, in my opinion, it's still a little messy. I wouldn't like if I could, I'd hire a horn section instead. I'd be like, hello, here's what I'd like you to play. Can you please play it? Okay, cool, thank you. So easy. So old-fashioned, I know, but I still prefer working with live musicians. Partly because I know what the ideas in my head sound like, but music theory and especially learning to play piano have always been outside of my cognitive abilities. I tried, and I'm still trying. I'm still trying to understand what little bit I can glean, but to apply it is a totally different story. So, oftentimes when I do release stuff, it's me plinking at notes and seeing what sounds good together, and trying to translate what I hear in my head to what I can hear in the DAW as close as I can. And it's still never going to be exactly what I hear in my head, because to do exactly what I hear in my head, I would have to be playing the instruments myself. Am I considering learning how to play 4 different instruments? I mean, it's a dream, but I don't think I can afford it, so I'm just going to have to make do with what I can. One day, when I have the means for it, I would like to be able to just remaster all of my songs with live musicians. I think Tsukima Switch did that with a couple of their songs for their 20th anniversary or something like that. That was cool. I'd like to do something like that. Yeah. But for the time being, you're gonna have weird horns. I think if it was like an orchestral piece, it's easier to transition. But I'm trying to do big band horns, and big band for upbeat songs is always going to be hard to do with technology. It's because even as a musician, it's hard to do compared to playing slower, more orchestral pieces. So yeah, it's better. It sounds better in my opinion, but it also, I can see where certain things could have been done better, and I can see some parts where I would have liked it if it triggered that way, but it failed to trigger. It just didn't. I don't know what to tell you. It's just it required key switching and like the live performance, but I couldn't key switch like manually after I'd recorded everything, and so all the articulations had to be done to velocity, and velocity is really hard to do when it also controls volume, and so I'm playing with dynamics too, and just yeah, I 4 of the 8 hours I spent on that song yesterday was me trying to rip my hair out, trying to figure out how Sign Player works, and having to reopen Luna every time it crashed, because the 1.4 patch is a little too intense on my computer now. Simply make 30 more friends and make each one learn to play a different brass instrument. Are you assuming that I'm not gonna pay my musicians? One default, I have to be friends with them, or at least I have to be on colloquial terms with them to work well with them. 2, I'm still paying them. Like, just because they're my friends doesn't mean I'm not gonna pay them. Okay, I still need to pay them. So I see where you're going with it, Flo, but I think, yeah, I don't do it like that. If I'm gonna do it for free, I try to do everything myself. That's how it goes. That's why I'm so tired all the time, because, yeah. Even for JFCA, I've asked Pretty Night Lori to style for me, and they're like, oh, I don't need to worry about payment. It's like, no, I'm paying you. I can't pay you a lot, but I can at least pay you, like, for 2 hours work, basically. Because that's what I can budget for. That's what I can afford. Right, but it's like moving. Your buddies offer you a pizza and a beer for 7 hours of labor. Moving is totally different, in my opinion. Moving is very different. Moving is a favor. And yeah, you're still feeding them, but to me that is still a favor. And I'm still like, the expectation for me at least is that I've already finished packing. So all they would have to do is load things on, drive, load things off, and done. And then after that, we eat something cool, and then I unpack on my own. That's how I would do it. With your craft, with what you do for a living, what you do for your life, that's a different story. I have to pay you. That's, for me, a sign of respect. If you are making friends with musicians expecting for them to do free labor for you, you're in the wrong, like, you're in the wrong industry. I assume that everybody I meet is going to be some form of creative. In which case, if I want to work with them, I have to pay them. Or at least find some kind of fair remuneration. So for instance, like, in exchange for the model art, originally I was going to pay Spider Sheep, but then Spider Sheep wanted to commission me for certain things. And so we're just like, okay, the value equals out, it levels out. So we don't have to pay with money, we'll pay each other with our own services. If, say for instance, one of those brass friends wanted me to like write a song, like compose a song from scratch for them, sure, we can do it for no money there, because we're exchanging something of equivalent value. But I can't do that for 30 friends, can I? Because one, I need to make a living, and two, that's a lot. That's just a lot of work in general. So yeah, one of the reasons why I did end up closing down Lost and Found, which was the project I used to enter Multiverse Vistas with, was because it didn't feel right to me to keep asking for such high quality work without paying them properly. It just didn't feel right. That was one of the reasons why I closed down Lost and Found. The other reason was also that I feel like work dynamics are different between work for free and work for money. Especially when it feels like it's something that should be taken seriously, which I think it does. Every project should be taken seriously, but also there needs to be freedom to play. And I found, for me personally, it was really hard to give people that space to play unless I was paying them, or unless I was saying you can have royalties. So that was something that Lost and Found people did have. If they were an artist or a music video artist animator, they were given full rights to their work, and so they could choose to do whatever they want with it, and they don't need to pay me anything. If they are musicians, then they were added to royalties, and so every time their song gets played, then they would get it's very, again, so small that I'd rather not do this. They would get a small percentage of royalties from each stream every time the song was played. I didn't like that. I think after Burning Legacy, I realized, like, I halfway through Burning Legacy, I realized, like, I don't think I can justify this anymore. So that's why Lost and Found as a project ended up folding. And now I mostly do things on my own unless I can afford to bring somebody in to help me out. So we'll see how merch sales go for the debut. But basically, whatever gets earned from the merch sales is either going towards JFCA or it's going towards the Lore Showcase or debut part 2. So yeah, if you wanna help me reach my creative goals and dreams of larger projects, monetary support is probably the best way to do it. Yeah, I don't take offers for free work, not anymore. I don't do that anymore either. So yeah, I guess y'all got to know how I work a little bit more after that too. So nice. Let's see. It's 1:17. I am starting to heat up. So I mentioned earlier that when I perform for too long, I get very warm. Talking counts. So money makes the world go round, same as it ever was. Yeah, and you know, like, people always say, it's like, oh, if only we just did things for free. I I think if we were still functioning off of like the village system, where we could justify if the service exchanges could put food on the table or a roof over our heads, then sure, maybe it would work. But that's not how life works currently, is it? We still have to feed ourselves. We still have to keep a roof over our heads. And for some of us, we have extra expenses in like mobility aid maintenance and medication. And like for instance, one of the things I had to plan into my budget for Japan Festival Canada is our like ride shares, because it's out of town. It's all the way in Mississauga. I could technically take transit there, but I did try that once. One, I'd have to go up a massive slope just to get to the stop. And then once I'm there, it turns out majority of people in Mississauga don't really care that you have a wheelchair. So they would get on not really realizing, oh, maybe I should let the person with the wheelchair get on first so that they can claim their spot and lock in, and then everybody else can go in afterwards. Otherwise, people are gonna be blocking the clearance I need to actually get into my spot, and I'm gonna be running over a lot of feet if I do that, which I have done before because some people just refuse to move. I've also run into people's legs in Artist Alley before. I don't go into Artist Alley anymore because I just can't. It's impossible now. So yeah, stuff like that. It's yes, money makes the world go around, but out of all of the possible ways in a society this big, it might be the most fair option, which I know doesn't sound nice. And obviously there are some folks who are being really unfair about how they earn and spend money. In my opinion, they're just like, oh, I just want to be rich. So, okay, but why? Why do you want to be rich? You didn't explain that. What is it about being rich that you like so much? Because even when I had like a little bit more money than I needed, I felt anxious. I'm just like, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm just supposed to let it sit? Okay, I put money in my savings account, still have money left over. What am I supposed to do with this? I don't need it. Like, I got my basics covered. I'm being well fed. I have clothes that represent me well. I have the equipment that I need. Like, if anything, maybe like a little bit more rent. So for some place that's a bit kinder to my body, because right now my current place is not accessible. And so I'm having to rely on my very shabby legs for a lot of my daily needs, which then tires me out even more. So to an extent, I can see like, yeah, like if everybody had a specific amount of money that can just meet everyone's basic needs, I don't think there would be such a thing as rich or poor. But I think the reason why like poor and rich exists is because a small group of people decided to get a little too overzealous with the money. What people forget to mention during like investment talks and all that stuff, or financial, like how to get rich, stuff like that, they forget to mention that in order to get that money needs to come from somewhere. Where do you think it's being taken from? It's being taken from someone else. So I always say with anything, be it money or food, any type of resource, only take what you need. Only take what you need. And if you look at folk history, they're going to tell you the same thing. Only take what you need. And do it with gratitude. Because if you don't take with gratitude, you're always going to feel like you need more. And that's how that cycle starts. That's how rich people start feeling empty for having, yeah, literally everything, but they're still unhappy. I wonder why. Always do it with gratitude. And I think that's a... Is that a nice spot to end? I'm not sure. Anyway, TLDR. Go through life mindfully. And go through life bravely. That's all. That is all. And I say bravely because sometimes the things you become aware of are scary. But they need to be looked at. Because you can't move forward unless you look at it. I had to learn that the hard way. I'm still learning that the hard way. And if I can do it, I believe in you. You can do it too. Especially if you have more resources than I do. Backstory can be for another stream though, because that's gonna be another fucking rabbit hole. Some of y'all know it, and if you do, cool. Anyway, I'm gonna end stream here, because one, I still need to wrap up the song, and two, I would like to have energy for the thing tonight that I'm gonna be doing personally, privately. So, have a brave day. I believe in you all. Later to you too. Have a brave day, everyone. Bye.